Powell went up to heaven against the man as a fanatic. They said he was mad, and all because he dared to preach a sermon full of faith in God. I do avow myself fully in sympathy with the views which he then enunciated. I think if the power of God were once more to baptize the church, we should have men who would dare to trust in God instead of putting confidence in men. Men who would act once more as if God's bare arm were quite enough to lean on, as if faith were not fanaticism, as if confidence in an unseen being were not an unjustifiable enthusiasm. I would to God the church had once again a rich anointing of the supernatural. And if you and I, brothers and sisters, would venture more upon the naked promises of God, we should enter a world of wonders to which as yet we are strangers.
This is Canary Cry Radio.
Are we living in the most deceptive time since the days of Noah? For thousands of years, humans have recorded, apart from mythology, a fairly mundane existence, at least according to history's victors. But coming into the 20th century, things began to change. For nearly 300 years before Max Planck changed the meaning of the word into a field of quote-unquote science, the word quantum simply meant one's share or portion. Think of the word quantity. But mention the word quantum today and you'll find everything from astrophysicists to the most woo-woo New Ager talking about how the understanding of quantum theory and its subsequent technologies will change the world for the better. The advocates of quantum theory claim it will unlock a so-called theory of everything that would eventually lead to what some quantum theorists are calling the transcension hypothesis, discussed by Dr. Hugo de Garis on this podcast, if you go back to episode 67. This hypothesis is nothing more than what the New Agers call ascension. But listeners to this show will know that this is the long-awaited esoteric goal of apotheosis, or man becoming God, promoted by esoteric philosophies like Kabbalah. The same lie that caused the fall of mankind is still being deployed for the purposes of deceiving souls today, and this deception is so palpable that it seems to inform us on everything from where we are to who we are, and especially where we are going. To help us explore and ultimately ground these issues in the gospel message of Jesus Christ, our guest today is a fellow YouTuber who runs the channel Truth is Stranger Than Fiction, and he's the author of Aethereal, The Battle for Heaven and Earth, a biblical cosmology documentary. He also runs We See As Through a glassdarkly.wordpress.com, and he was one of the first people to comment on the Face Like the Sun blog way back when. Welcome, long time coming, Will of Truth is Stranger Than Fiction. What's up? What's up?
Hello everyone, I just wanted to make this video to let everyone know that a few weeks ago I recorded a podcast interview with Basil and Gons from Canary Cry Radio, and they just put that up yesterday, so that is available to listen to. The link will be in the description. And I have not brought myself to listen to it yet. I don't know if I even will, because that's, for whatever reason, I have a weird thing about listening to myself. Doing live recordings and interviews and things like that are a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I did it because it was really amazing opportunity. It came about in a very interesting way, actually. However, many months ago, I made a video called Canaries Can't Cry in Space, talking about AI and aliens and cosmology, and I was essentially reacting to some things they had said in one of their Canary Cry News Talk episodes dealing with AI and aliens and a lot of these topics that I've been focusing on myself on the channel here, and so I was really not expecting them to respond, let alone respond in actually such a very mature and gracious way, because it was admittedly critiquing some of what they were saying, specifically in terms of just kind of joking about the flat Earth topic, even while a lot of their research is still very compelling and worthwhile. And so it was kind of I was a bit frustrated when I made that video, but tried to be fair and tried to acknowledge just what a significant role they'd played in my coming to understand so many of these topics. I've been a long time fan of the Canary Cry podcast, all the way since it started, really. So they invited me to come on the show and talk about Aethereal and talk about cosmology and, quantum mysticism and the history of scientism and the role of the occult in the development of modern so-called science and so many other topics, right? And we had a really great conversation. Again, they were really gracious hosts, and it wasn't like I came on there to debate with them or anything like that, and was just really praying that it could be an edifying conversation and a positive dialogue, for both sides, and I really think it was. At the same time, of course, at the end of it, I just felt really unsure if I was even making any sense, or did I explain everything in the best way possible, and yeah, so I don't know if I'll go listen to it, but if you want to go listen to it, that would be great, and go support them. We did the initial podcast interview that was about 2 hours long, and then a third hour that is for their Patreon subscribers, which is, I think, when we actually got into the flat Earth topic in more detail in that third hour. So if you are a Patreon member of them, you can hear that, or if you want to become one, definitely go do that, because they do put out so much good stuff, and Gons is now working on his part 3 of the Age of Deceit series, what is now a series of documentaries, which I'm really looking forward to when that comes out. And he's a part of this conference this weekend, and lots of other stuff. Gons is a busy guy these days, so yeah, the fact that he made time to do that and edit that is just all the more special. So I definitely want to extend my thanks and my gratitude for them having me on and hearing me out, and just kind of trying to share about my own, I guess, peculiar relationship with the flat Earth topic and the flat Earth movement, which, as many of you know, is a bit nuanced, or has been a bit back and forth and up and down, and trying to affirm all the things about this flat Earth revelation and flat Earth topic that are honoring to God and that actually are pointing people to the truth and to the Bible, and people are finding Jesus. And I even talked about that with the flat Earth testimonies and things. But at the same time, there's obviously a lot of just nonsense that kind of comes along with that whole arena, and that's been something I've been trying to kind of pull away from and distance myself from. Not getting sucked into this concept of the movement, or there's going to be some, revolution, and we're going to expose NASA and overthrow the powers that be, and all these kinds of very humanistic, new age truth movement type mentalities that are definitely very prevalent within the flat Earth community. So I definitely kind of tried to just be honest and speak to both sides, and not, it wasn't, the whole point of talking wasn't even really to get into flat Earth, but we talked about, the spiritual implications and fake space, and the idea of space being an archetype for the spiritual realm. And, so we had a really great discussion, and it's kind of surreal because, yeah, having listened to that for so many years, it was something I never imagined that I would be participating in, but here we are. So very, very cool, and I'm very thankful. So on other news, I did take a break, obviously, for a few weeks there, and was kind of just dealing with some stuff and kind of trying to get back on track with making videos. I've got a couple that I'm sort of in the research process for, working on, and I did make a couple of music videos during that sort of 3-week hiatus for an artist who many of you know, and I probably shouldn't say too much yet, but it's going to be released soon. And so he had some new tracks that he'd come up with, and they were just so phenomenal. And I wound up making 3 music videos for 3 of these new tracks on his new upcoming album. So that's coming out later this month, and I'll be kind of releasing those in conjunction with the album release and all that. And I'm pretty excited about that, because not only is he a great artist, and the content that he puts through in his music and his lyrics totally ties into everything, again, that I talk about on this channel, but it's just turned out to be a really cool brother in the Lord, just getting to know him recently and having some really great conversations, and I've just been really blessed by that. So, that was just a real privilege to get to kind of collaborate with him, and, sometimes it's fun to just be able to do just the editing side, the video, and not have to put together all the audio and the content and all that. So I look forward to seeing your guys' reaction to that. And just as a final side note to wrap this up, I know many of you have probably already seen this, but there's some new footage that came out from the ISS involving this astronaut. I believe he's from Germany. He's the new guy I think he went up right around the same time as the AI bot. I did a video on it a little while back with the little, it's like a little ball, which I still don't think I've seen any footage of being used yet. So who knows if that's even something they're going to follow up with, but he's on there. And yeah, from where I stand, this is a pretty blatant goof on NASA's part once again. And it's true that they've gotten a lot more careful and a lot more crisp with a lot of their, especially with the CGI stuff, because that's what a lot of it is, using video layering and CGI, and they can paste in objects and they're interacting with virtual environments around them, and it's amazing the lengths that they go to fake this whole ISS. But here you see this little square kind of right by his hand and body that just moves with him, that obviously is not part of anything, and it's some part of a video layer or whatever that didn't get edited out. And so once again, yeah, you have to answer yourself, like, what is going on with this, and why, what kind of explanation anyone could come up with as far as that would be a natural explanation. I have no idea, but here you go. So this was a video put out by a channel called Flat Earth Brothers, and I was not familiar with them until this video, but he seems like a pretty solid, mature Christian guy, and so go check out his video and his channel if you haven't already. And yeah, there's been more big news, quote unquote, lately with the alleged hole in the ISS, and was it taken from the cover of a Christian rock band and this kind of thing. And honestly, I've just been kind of exhausted from all these sorts of alleged smoking gun proofs, because yeah, it definitely gets very convoluted in terms of where did the image actually come from, and is this information and is this story being falsely reported and falsely, jumped upon by the flat earthers and their exuberance trying to find that smoking gun, right? And that's the thing, you get to a point where you go, there's already so much evidence that, unless they just full on came out and admitted that the International Space Station was fake. If NASA themselves came out and said, yep, we've been fooling you this whole time. Aside from that, you get to this point where it seems like you just have to realize that trying to wake up everyone to things like, NASA hoaxes and all this fake space stuff is, at the end of the day, it's a spiritual blindness that is over their eyes that has to do with, believing in evolution and believing in the collectivized knowledge of humanity and the world and academia, and it really boils down to idolatry and spiritual bondage. And so it really comes back to the whole question of, is the significance of exploring a topic like flat earth and cosmology because we're, at the end of the day, first and foremost motivated by a desire to lead people to the gospel, or has flat earth actually become many people's gospel? And sadly, of course, as many of you know, I think the latter is all too true too much of the time. So yeah, it's a delicate relationship to have with the topic and with the movement and all that. So at the same time, evidence continues to come out, lies continue to be exposed. The topic of evolution versus creation and cosmology, still very important, but looking at them in the grand scheme of things, and in terms of what the broader deception is, not just about hiding God, quote unquote, because God could mean any number of things, but hiding the true God and hiding the true identity of Jesus and the true, way of salvation for all men, Jew and Gentile, male and female, old and young. That's really all that matters in the end. It's not what you believe about the shape or size of the earth, or what the firmament is made out of, or what the stars really are. The ultimate question is, who is Jesus to you? And so that's definitely the focus that I've been trying to kind of bring my channel back to, probably ever since Aethereal came out. So that's where I've been, and it's just a real honor to kind of see people continuing to watch that. Obviously, when I first published it, it reached just over 1 million views until it had a copyright issue that just kind of popped up, after being up for so many months. And so it's been blocked in the United States. It's still up around the world, but a lot of people can't see it. So the re-upload that is available in the United States now has about 345,000. That's pretty encouraging to see that people are still finding it and still resonating with the things I talked about in there. So I've also been praying about what the next, large project, full-length type documentary project might be. I have some ideas and some thoughts on that, but it's still in the very initial kind of brainstorming phases, so we'll see where that goes. I know that that's probably going to be something in the next 6 months that will get more developed, and it's a lot of work to put together a documentary. Having now tried to do it, it amazes me. I just have so much more of an appreciation for the work that goes into things like Age of Deceit, or The Minds of Men by Truth Stream Media, or so many other projects that are out there that, it's like it's just a monumental task, doing all the research and figuring out how to put it all together and doing the editing and the recording and on and on. So thank you guys for all of your encouragement and support over the years now. It's kind of weird to even say that I've been doing this for literally about 3 years. And I love you guys so much, and I just really appreciate how many of you have kind of stuck by me and encouraged me and sent me emails, even when I was kind of taking a break and people were just kind of wanting to. A lot of people who just were like, I just feel like you need some prayer, and just sent me an encouraging word, and that just like kind of really blew me away, that there were so many people who, some of whom I'd engaged with and had emailed back and forth with, and some of you who I'd never heard from, but you wanted to say something just uplifting, and that just really meant a lot to me. So I just can't thank you enough. Like, all of you who have just been, some of you have just been there the whole time, right, since 2015, and the whole beginning of this flat Earth rabbit hole, and then all the other things that have kind of come out of that, right, which is kind of where I am now. It's in terms of, the flat Earth topic having been like a stepping stone back into just even so many other topics, and looking at older topics, in a new way, whether it's the alien deception or electromagnetism and electric universe theory type things, and so much more. Quantum computing, artificial intelligence, the technocratic one world system that is all around us and gaining speed and gaining momentum all the time. All these things are related. The spiritual deception that is behind it all. And it is that spiritual deception that I think is most deserving of our efforts and our energies, in terms of refuting it and rebuking it and showing what the real truth of Jesus is, because he's been so misrepresented and distorted in the minds of millions and millions and millions of people in the world. And that should light a fire in us like nothing else. That the truth of Jesus is really what's under attack more than anything else. So, all right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being there, you guys. Go check out the Canary Cry Radio, and hopefully I didn't just fumble too badly. But I am really thankful that I was able to talk to them and just have a great conversation with a couple of brothers who, we're all in this together. We're all fighting this deception together. And, we all just want to see people find Jesus. So, thanks a lot. God bless.